Hello and welcome to session 8 on mindfulness living and mindfulness meditation. Today we would talk about how relevant and enriching meditation can be for children, and then we'll also do our longer period of meditation. But first, to settle us into this present moment and let us do our mini meditation. So just sitting comfortably where you are, gently close your eyes. And taking a deep breath in, right to the bottom of your lungs, and sighing the breath out. And just repeating this, just relaxing as you sigh the breath out. And doing 2 more in your own time, breathing right in and out. And just allow your breathing to return to its normal, natural rhythm. Just focusing on the rhythm of that breathing, breathing in and out. Just focusing on your breath in its normal, natural rhythm. And now take your attention to any sounds that are around you. Just noticing them with a gentle curiosity, not judging them, but just being with the sounds that are around you at this moment. And now just bring your awareness to the point of contact of your body, perhaps sitting on the chair, perhaps standing on the floor, just wherever your body is in contact with the surface. Just take your attention there. Feel where you're sitting, or feel where your back is against the chair, or feel where your feet are on the floor. Focusing on these areas, and as you do, feel the flow of your breath just coming and going. And now take a deeper breath. Just focus on having a deep breath right in and out. And once more. And then just gently open your eyes. Right, so meditation in children. Children have a natural heightened ability of awareness and perception. They pick up how we're feeling quite easily, and they're aware of whether we're happy or stressed. And at the moment, with this virus and the resultant disruption to our lives, then we ourselves are feeling quite perplexed, and we're not quite sure about the future with our health and well-being, how things are going to work out. So children will be picking up on that. And they're also noticing the changes themselves, like they've only just gone back to school. So before it was like, where are their friends and their play dates and their sleepovers? All these things have changed in a child's life as well. And that can make them feel quite anxious and uncertain. So talking to them and explaining to them and offering them comfort and a way to build resilience is important. And we do that as caregivers of children naturally. But mindfulness can be a very effective additional way to do this. So teaching our children how to be mindful, to appreciate quiet, and to have inner peace is one of the greatest gifts that we can bestow on them. and that's from an Australian source in Melbourne. So how do we do this? Well, young children before going to school are often naturally mindful. If you watch them play, they are in the moment, intent on what they're doing, and often only that. And they feel in the moment as well, wholeheartedly at times. And then when the issue is resolved, then it's gone, then they're fine, back to being happy and playing and mindful in their environment. If only we could perhaps solve some of the issues in our lives as quickly. So as children grow and become more immersed in the world, then things start to change for them. They become less in tune with their bodies, their thoughts, their senses and emotions. And we can start at this time to bring some simple mindfulness activities into their lives, simply like going for a walk, perhaps sitting somewhere looking at the scenery around us, focusing on the feel of the sun on our bodies, just noticing those little details of the surrounds that are around us. It is important that we are part of this process. So remembering to embrace this as well, not just think, oh, I've got to do some mindful activities with the children, trying to fit something else into your already busy life. This is a time for you to be mindful as well and to share that with your children. Mindful activities as part of the family also strengthens family bonds and relationships. It fosters a very positive environment in your home, and it cultivates a sense of appreciation and of gratitude and contentment among all family members. You may expect some resistance with older children at first, particularly if it's accompanied by less screen time. I'll say more about that in a minute, but patience, perseverance, and persistence, it really does pay off, and it can become part of a family routine and a very enjoyable part of that. So as children's worlds expand even more and they're being exposed to more and more stress, and the pace of their lives picks up, and also the pressure to perform arrives in their lives. These are all good things, but it's important that the child is equipped to deal with them. So we as parents don't have to be totally responsible for incorporating mindfulness into our children's lives. It's just like other activities. We often look for and find a teacher of the skill that we are wanting our children to learn. There are specific programs for teaching mindfulness to children, and I think some are available online and some as an app as well. The arrival of a child's life of technology gives wonderful opportunities, but endless opportunities for minds to be elsewhere. And that was a quote I read somewhere. It often coincides with the arrival of many other distractions in their lives as well. So they're really getting a lot of input, a lot of sensory input. And this, of course, brings up the subject of screen time. It is becoming well known and is backed by a lot of research how unlimited screen time in a child's life from birth onwards can have detrimental effects on their development, and that includes the brain. Also, detrimental effects on their learning and their behaviour. So I guess it's important to be mindful about introducing screen time to teach mindfulness, like using an app or an online program. But done in the right context and with caregiver support, it can work well, and it might be the only opportunity that there is. And just a word about apps there. I think with our adolescents, with our teenagers, that they're very focused this way. And so using an app on their phone might be a way of getting their attention and their interest in doing some mindfulness. I had read a little bit about, there's a few reservations. Sometimes the way the app is presented, that the child, it has expectations, and therefore the child or the adolescent feels they have to meet certain standards, and they don't always do that, and so they can become anxious. So there needs to be a little bit of overseeing of the whole process to make sure you're not getting a detrimental effect. But I'd also like to say how important it is to realise that old-time adage of what we do is far more powerful than what we say as parents. So living mindfully ourselves and incorporating some simple mindful practices into our lives will rub off on your child. So mindfulness may be brought into a child's life through school. Mindfulness in education is being embraced more and more as it is recognised that a focus of a child's well-being and emotional resilience is just as important as teaching facts, figures and problem solving. And teachers are also seeing the benefits of incorporating mindfulness into the classroom. The children become calmer, more focused and harmonious, and I should think that they're more of a pleasure to teach. So having an understanding of mindfulness yourself as a caregiver of any child can help to solidify what a child is learning at school. I was talking to a young friend of mine, Sarah, whose children go to a school where they're teaching mindfulness. And she was telling me how Samson, her son, came home and said, "Hey, Mum, when we were doing mindfulness today, I was thinking about how Dad's going to make me a really good rope swing, and Dad's going to make me a cubby, and Dad's going to take me fishing," and having all these thoughts going through his head. So Sarah, having an understanding of mindfulness, sat down with Samson and said, "Well, that's really good things to think about, Samson, but it's not actually what mindfulness is about. When you're doing mindfulness at school, then it's a time for having a calm mind, a calm for not focusing on your thoughts." And so that was good feedback for him to be able to have. So mindfulness in children allows them to, first of all, understand their emotions and feelings. Very important in this day and age. And I think it's also part of this day and age because, like when I was growing up, then we weren't always encouraged to understand our emotions and feelings. Children learn the capacity to trust themselves. They know what they're doing is right. They know who they are in this world and they know where they're at. They feel centered and stable amidst life's challenges and imperfections. And it helps them to develop focus and attention, and that goes a long way with learning. And they develop gratitude, compassion, and forgiveness, and they're wonderful qualities to take with you through life. They know there is some place inside themselves that they can always access, and this place is unchanging, a place of peace. A little bit about how we're learning about the stillness within ourselves. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some specific mindfulness activities that you can do with your children. But before we do that, I think we will do our longer period of meditation. I'll just find my script. I want to use a slightly different form today, just to give you a little bit more experience. And so using a different script, it just allows you to realise that you don't have to do everything in the same way, in the set way. But over time, you will adapt what we do and to what works best for you anyway. At first, it is good to have guidelines, but do remember that as you sit and you give yourself this time, no matter what format you take, that you are giving yourself a gift of healing. Perhaps we'll go through the script, just remembering that we'll have a period of silence, and today we'll aim for around about 8 minutes. And if you feel uncomfortable at all during any part of the meditation, then you can just open your eyes and just return to doing whatever you feel is right for you. I just want to mention that when you're doing this meditation at home by yourselves, and when you get to the time of sitting silently, then you can spend as long a time there as you want to. It doesn't have to be a certain number of minutes. You've got no constraints of time. It can be a short time or it can be a long time. So it's just something to be aware of. Obviously here we have to bring it to an end. Right. So just sitting comfortably. Okay. So welcome to this longer meditation. And this is a time that you have chosen to spend in the present moment, honouring and caring for yourself. So taking a few moments to settle into the body in whatever posture is right for you. Remembering that this can be sitting, perhaps on a chair or on the floor, or it can be lying down. And when you are ready, just gently close your eyes. And now allowing the weight of the body to sink down, just relaxing and bringing your awareness to the points of contact of your body with the chair or the bed or the floor. Notice the feet on the floor. Notice the thighs and buttocks on the chair or bed if you're lying down. Notice the small of the back, supported if you're on a chair. Just being aware of these points of contact. Be aware of your hands on your lap or resting on your legs or the side of the chair, or perhaps the bed if you're lying down. And take time at these points to feel them. Whether it's pressure from that point of contact, the softness from fabric or a blanket. Just notice the temperature, these points of contact, the warmth or coolness. Perhaps there's some tingling. And this is bringing us right into this present moment. And now become aware of your posture, just paying attention to your spine, your neck and shoulders. Check the spine is long and erect if sitting, but relaxed. The neck straight, perhaps tucking the chin in slightly, and just relax your shoulders. And now we'll take a few moments to just check through all of our body for relaxation. So first of all, taking your attention to around your eyes and your forehead. Perhaps you can just focus on the velvety darkness in front of your eyes. And just checking that all the little muscles are relaxed. Just letting go, letting the muscles soften and loosen. And now bringing your attention to around your jaw, the common place for tension. Just allow your jaw to soften and loosen. Perhaps your tongue to rest against your teeth, wherever it's comfortable for you. Just letting go of all the little muscles around your jaw. And now just checking on those shoulders again, making sure they're relaxed. The big muscles there. Perhaps you'd like to hunch them up towards your shoulders, ears, and let them go. Just allowing all the muscles to soften and loosen. And taking your attention down through your arms, through your elbows, forearms, wrists, hands, fingers, Once again, checking that they're relaxed. Perhaps just for a moment, focusing on where your hands are, allowing them to relax. And now taking your attention to your back, your spine, to your chest, to your buttocks, to your tummy, just all those muscles of the torso, just allowing them to soften and loosen as you become more and more relaxed. And now taking your attention down through your legs, allowing your knees to roll in or out a little, checking that the muscles around your knees, calves, ankles, feet, toes are all softening and loosening. And now taking 3 deep breaths right to the bottom of your lungs in your own time to aid this relaxation. Breathing right in and out, just in your own time. And now allow your breathing to return to its normal, natural rhythm in whatever way is right for you. And now take your attention to any sounds that are around you, either inside or outside the room. Just notice these sounds with a gentle curiosity, not judging them, but just being aware of them. And as you notice these sounds, just feel the flow of your breath, just coming and going. And now, as you feel comfortable and at ease in your body, take your attention back to the breath. Remembering not changing your breathing in any way, but simply being aware of the breath in its normal, natural rhythm. Notice the in-breath, followed by the out-breath, and the in-breath again as it goes on. Perhaps even noticing the pause between the parts of the breath. The pause that is naturally there between the in-breath and out-breath. It's not holding your breath in any way. This pause is just naturally there. And become aware of where the breath feels most centered for you. It may be the chest and the belly, lifting as you breathe in and relaxing as you breathe out. It may be at the nostrils or the slightly parted lips, where you can feel the coolness of the in-breath and the warmth of the out-breath. And remembering this is the point you can return to at any time during your meditation, particularly as thoughts intrude and you need encouragement to let them go. So once again, become aware of each in-breath, that slight pause, followed by the out-breath. Notice the rhythm of your breathing, not changing it in any way, but just being aware, moment by moment and breath by breath. Remembering that there is no thought right now that needs your attention. Thoughts are like clouds in the sky, ever present, yet passing across the blue sky, just simply coming and going. The blue sky is always there, never changing, just as the stillness within us is always there, never changing. And now, as we sit in silence for a few minutes, just remember, when you notice your mind engage with a thought, you can take your attention back to the sounds around you or the points of contact of your body, or simply to your breath. Just moment by moment and breath by breath. Remembering again, there is no thought right now that needs your attention. As we come to an end of our meditation, once again, become aware of the breath, moment by moment, breath by breath, gently and compassionately. Perhaps deepening your breath a little bit, and when you're ready, you can open your eyes. And as we return to the outside world, always remember that sacred place that lies within each of us, a place of infinite wisdom, gentleness, and compassion. So gently stretch and honor yourself for taking this time. So just to bring you back from that space, I just want to talk a little bit about a few activities for children to introduce mindfulness to them. There'd be a whole range of things out there. And I think actually asking children, just starting with a few things and then asking them to think of things is a good way too as well. So you can do mindful breathing games. I'll just try and demonstrate here for you. Holding up the hand like this, you can find that if you're doing your breathing with it, that you can breathe up, tracing with the other hand up the thumb and down there. It's breathing in as you go up the thumb and breathing down out, and then breathing in again and then out. So just starting here and doing it slowly so that you've got a lot of time to get a deep breath. So breathing in and out, breathing in and out, breathing in and out, breathing in and out, and breathing in and out. And doing that with a child just doesn't take very long, but it just really centers them, makes them focus on their breathing, focus on their fingers. The lift is something children sometimes like to do. So sitting there with one hand in front of their tummy, facing upwards, and the other one on top. And then they have to breathe in as they go up towards the top of their head and down again. It's called the lift because it's like a lift going up in a building, and you can explain that. But doing it slowly. So breathing in and out. And the idea is that they don't run out of breath before they get up to the top or down, back down again. Just feeling the rhythm of breathing with a child. Like we all just know, because we've learned, that our chest moves when we breathe. It's just natural. But for children, they don't actually always know that. So sometimes lying down is a good way to do this with the children on the floor. Just placing their hands on their rib cage and just getting them to feel how their breath comes in and their chest comes out, and then how it goes back in when they relax. So it's a really nice thing to do with children. And sometimes the looks on their faces, oh, right, they're actually moving their chest down there. You can do clapping. Now, clapping, if you think about it, gives you sound and touch. And so you can do that with children. It brings them right into this very moment. It doesn't take very long as they listen to the sound and also that they feel what's happening with their hands. You can ask them. There might be some tingling there. It depends how hard they clap. You can do this with the eyes open or the eyes closed. If you just try it, just doing it with your eyes closed, it really does emphasize attention to the sound and to the feel in your hands. And you can ask children, there might be other ways. They might like to stamp their feet, do something like that as well. Mindful eating is a fun thing to do with children. You can give them a treat. It might be a piece of chocolate, it might even just be a sultana, actually, or it might be just something that they like to have, and ask them to eat it very slowly. Ask them to really taste it. If it's a lolly or a chocolate, then it might be that they run it around in their mouth, that they really do focus on the taste of that. And they can talk about it too at the same time, but really getting them to focus on what they're eating, what they're tasting, the feel of it in their mouth, you know, whether it's runny or whether it's hard, all sorts of opportunities there to really get those senses and be in tune with them. So mindful movement, well, there's lots of things you can do here. Walking in itself. So going for a walk, but actually focusing on that walking process, you know, one foot in front of the other, etc., can be a mindful activity, and something that adults do as well. Perhaps that's more for older children. You can do specific movements, which helps the child to become really aware of their body. So it might be, say, you do some neck movements and you talk to them about moving their head very slowly to one side, back to the middle, and to the other side. Could be raising the arms above the head, any sort of movement of any particular joint. Then you can do that mindfully, thinking about it, noticing with older children slight differences in way people move. Can be an interesting thing to do with children. But also going for a mindful walk. And that's when you set out to have a walk and you notice things along the way. It might be the rocks, it might be the flowers, water, whatever comes your way. And if you go for a walk with a toddler, and which takes a while, you really get to see how they walk mindfully, because they walk along, they see something, they stop, they look at it the whole time, they really have to explore it. They're just focused right there and right then with whatever it is that they've noticed. And that is really bringing them into the present moment, which they do very naturally. But it's a good way for us to observe, and we can learn from it as well. You can do touch games, and this really using the sense of touch rather than not contact touch games. You've probably come across that slime, which you can make with corn flour and oil and things, and children love it. You know, and you can also buy it pre-made, and they really feel it, and that they lift it up and it goes all gooey and all that sort of thing, and they have a lot of fun with it, and that brings them right into this very present moment using the tactile sense. A nice, fun thing to do with older children is to get a bag and to put some common objects in it, like maybe it's the keys, or maybe a ball, or whatever it is, and then get them to put their hand in it, and they have to guess what the objects are. You can make them easy, and then you can make them quite difficult. I actually did that with one of my grandchildren's birthday presents recently. He was going to be 9, so I sent him 9 little packages with different things inside, and he had to guess what they were, first of all by the feel of the outside package, and if he couldn't get that, then he could open it but not look and feel inside and see whether he could work out what they were. So it was just a fun thing to do, again bringing him right into this present moment. And I didn't do it to teach him mindfulness, I just thought it'd be a fun thing to do, and then I thought, that was an interesting activity to do. Now, gratitude. This is a wonderful thing to encourage with our children, and it is also been documented, it's actually been researched that it's a very useful thing for us as adults to encourage in our life. It has positive effects on our brain chemistry. So one nice thing to do is, remember how we often at Christmas or birthdays, celebrating times, we'd get coloured paper and cut them into chains and then interlock the chains, gluing them. And you can do that by writing something to be grateful for on each part of that chain and then putting it together. That might be something that you do after a day, sometimes a special day. Maybe you've taken the children somewhere, so just say the zoo, for instance, and so they've had a really exciting different day, and so an activity to centre them as they come home is perhaps write on those chains all the things that they most enjoyed about the day, or the things they were grateful for, etc., etc. Then they can make a chain, they can hang it somewhere in their bedroom, and it's a reminder of what of that particular special day. It's also writing things down in a journal for an older child and for an adult as well, can be very helpful. There's always something good that's happened during the day, despite sometimes calamity occurring. And it's really nice thing to do with children, and it centers them and it calms them down in the evening, is to say, well, tell me 3 of the best things that happened to you today. And some people might like to write that down, but it can just be a verbal thing as well. So there's all sorts of ways and means of being more consciously grateful for what we have in our lives. And sometimes the simplest things are the most important in many ways. Now, for older children, just teaching them the stop. It's a bit like, I'm just thinking of the right word, how we talked about pushing the pause button for ourselves. Teaching children to stop is very helpful when they're dealing with change and with the anxious feelings that are coming up for that. So if you think about it, the S stands for stop moving. So instead of rushing around and even in your mind thinking all the time, just stop, consciously stop. Take a deep breath. And that brings you into this present moment. And then just sitting and observing what is happening, both within them, you know, that butterflies, that anxious feeling, and also what's happening around them. And then after they've done that, then they're in a much better position to proceed, to go on with what they have to do. They've just taken a few moments to really stop, bring themselves into this present moment. They've given themselves a little mini break to know what's the best thing to do after that. So there are lots of different ideas out there, and I think you can easily see that you can just go on and on with different ways of doing things. They're not limited by this by any means. So just in finishing, a mindfulness program for children has much to offer, and allowing them to develop powerful personal life skills. It allows them to learn there is something else within themselves that is not reliant on or affected by what is happening in the world. A very, very powerful skill to know. It has also been shown to reduce the risk of mental health issues such as anxiety and depression. So learning mindfulness as a child gives them skills for the rocky road of adolescence, or for some that they learn it during adolescence. And in that case, they're always learning skills for life. Learning mindfulness in childhood or adolescence, and it just gives them something to build on all through their life. And they'll find it something to come back to at difficult times, something to be grateful for amongst their days. So just to finish off with, Janet Etty-Leal is a Melbourne meditation consultant and has done a lot of work with teaching children. So introducing children to a practice of meditation is like offering them a precious gift. Meditation can give children a strong, stable personal foundation to be built upon over a lifetime. So that'll be enough for today. We have 2 more sessions left in this series, and then that time we'll focus on our longer periods of meditation, and we'll also talk about other bits and pieces that can help bring meditation as a regular part of your daily life. So thank you, and I'll see you next time.